you're Nigerian by your name.
Of course.
How long have you been in Nigeria?
I lived in Lagos for 7 years, and then moved there. In the last 4 years, I've been in Nairobi.
You said something interesting. We find it very interesting about the distribution of these short films, especially showcasing them to the right audience.
Sure.
Using the short film Timothy as a case study.
When the English Premier League opens up in a few weeks, Obalende is going to be half the young men in Obalende are going to be watching Man U play whomever, right? Yes. So the question I would have is those viewing centers that are showing that stuff, shouldn't that maybe be part of the strategy for getting these films out? Because people are watching communally in all these places. That's probably the primary means by which people watch films. Absolutely, because for me that's that's one of the biggest things that drives me and concerns me with respect to Nigerian and African film. We have large numbers of people. We have almost 1 billion people on the continent, but if you look at the number of people who actually get to watch the films in any given year, it's a relatively small number. Particularly for Cinema for Change, things that, with the social message, the key question I would have is, again, okay, you've told a story that resonates. It's a story from Ajegunle. It's a story that resonates in Ajegunle and other urban areas and maybe rural areas as well. How do we ensure that the people who this message comes for get to see it? And my question, the point I was making was really around the viewing centers. When the BPA, when the Barclays Premiership League starts, people in Ajegunle, people elsewhere are going to be watching Manchester United and whomever else. Those are the same people who should be watching this film. And if we can get football matches in the UK, thousands of miles away, effectively to large numbers of people within Nigeria, then we need to also look at the viewing center model and see how we can work with that to get these messages out to the same audiences. And it can be something as simple as a pre-roll before a match starts, or even halftime or afterwards. And I think it also creates a responsibility for you as a director. Because the truth of the matter is, if you create something that's just purely a message and isn't entertaining or isn't resonating, then people are not going to relate to it. But if there's something that is powerful and resonant, and at the same time has an entertainment value and is sending a message, then people will connect with it. And I think that's really the natural evolution, for there to be, the line between Cinema for Change, to me, collapsing down to just cinema. And that's the impact of cinema. Globally, that's, when people talk about the impact of Nollywood, for instance, nobody says Nollywood for change. But if you go into Uganda, people will tell you in Uganda that they find Nollywood educational. I mean, a study was actually done. And they're like, how do you find education? And they said, you learn about self-assertiveness, you learn about confidence. I would never have dreamt of these things until I read this report. So, I think it's very good that there's a very conscious and deliberate effort on the part of Cinema for Change and Ford Foundation to say these are the things we want to do. I think over time it becomes a lot more natural. I mean, if you see what's happening with participant media, for instance, a lot of the films that participant media makes, nobody says it's Cinema for Change or it's a message movie, but the message is in there, and I think we have to start from somewhere, but I think you guys are well on the way, with these films towards getting to that point where the social impact is there without it being, okay, we've checked the box. Yeah.
You seem to know a lot about this distribution model. What is your experience like in distribution?
I distributed Viva Riva in East Africa, and that's my thing. I mean, I think that's, I think finance is a problem, training is a challenge, production is a challenge, but the granddaddy of all problems is distribution. If you can solve distribution, you solve everything else. We don't need patch. Patch isn't going to get us to where we need to get.
Well, that's what Afrinolly is doing. Afrinolly is about not the marketplace and strictly mobile viewing of entertainment, Nollywood essentially. And yeah, there's a lot of mobile penetration. Data is getting cheaper. So yeah, I think
I think that VOD, I think that mobile apps are part of the solution, no question. And I'm happy to hear numbers like 4 million active users, 8 million downloads. Those are great numbers, right? We have 170 million people in Nigeria. If you went to the US with 300 million people and told them that you had 8 million people and 60 million people, which is proportionately what the numbers of where access to 8 million and 60 million people, the guys in Nollywood would commit suicide. They want 200 million, they want 300 million. Those are the ambitions. So again, I think Afrinolly, I think many of the other VOD players, those are good and necessary things, but we need to understand that you need an ecosystem to work. You need television, free-to-air television to work the way free-to-air television is supposed to work, not a situation where the channels come and make you as a content owner pay for airtime. You need the cinemas to be widespread. It can't be just people who drive in Mercedes-Benzes or people who own cars are the people who go to cinemas. Think about 30, 40 years ago. Who was going to cinema? Penn Cinema, Scala. It was regular people. And we need to get back to that. So the Genesis should multiply, the Silverbird should multiply, the Afrinolly should multiply. But we also need to fill in the gaps, and we need to fix television. Those are I'd say cinema for community cinema and TV. If we can fix the things that are broken about those two models, Nollywood, you won't be able to hold us back.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So when are you moving back to actually set up your distribution?
Well, I've spent the time there, and this is the other thing we need to appreciate is that for Nigerian film, the market isn't just in Nigeria. The market is actually everywhere in Africa. It's also in Jamaica. It's in Belize. It's in Brazil. It's all over the world, and we need to figure out. When 20th Century Fox makes a movie or Universal makes a movie, they're not just thinking, oh, how do we do the US? 60% of the revenues for Terminator came from the rest of the world. I don't see any reason why, for any given Nigerian film, at least 50% of the revenue shouldn't come from anywhere elsewhere in the world, including in Africa. We have 170 million people. There's almost 1 billion people in Africa. Yes, we're a big country, but we're 20% of the market. Now, I know Nigerians are sharp business people. I don't know any Nigerian who, given an opportunity, will say, no, I only want to sell to 20%. Let somebody else take the other 80%. It's just if the infrastructure is put in place to cover the whole of Africa, then people will say, yeah.
It's great having you.
Pleasure. And again, congratulations to all you guys and the staff.
Afrinolly TV.
Super.
So tune in to